Hi, welcome. We are excited.
Yes.
We're back in. You know, we haven't been doing this kind of education for a while. We had planned on all of our exposés, and that was going to be a lot of 2020, and we had an education plan there and just so much excitement. And of course, 2020 has taken us all for a bit of a ride.
Yes.
And so here we are. So it's a little like, okay, here we are. We're in the studio, and we are excited to present to you today on eyes. What are they revealing?
Oh my goodness. Well, with the masks right now, they're revealing a lot.
I know. That was what really killed me, because as I was looking, and I just kind of switched this slide so you can sort of begin to see, but that was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking in the mirror and, or whenever I'd go, and I was like, oh my goodness. Now I know I've got a puffiness thing going on always that I've had to deal with, and it's really truly related, which so much of this that we're going to talk about in the first few slides are, really related to stress.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even realize that, and some of what we're dealing with for 2020 is an underlying stress. A stress that maybe you're not even aware of that's going on, but that I know for me, because what happens, and you know, as we age, we kind of maybe start to recognize our bodies differently. I don't know when that really hit for me. I would say maybe in my 30s, I kind of was a lot more aware of things, but I can tell that there's stresses going on that I'm not like, I'm stressed out, but because I have eczema and psoriasis, and that always comes out usually triggered by stress for me.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing. Sometimes certain climate changes or dryness, you know, can do some things too with your body, but maybe even alcohol can contribute a little bit on certain skin things. But for me, it's stress. And same thing with this right here.
Yep.
It's either sleep or stress for me.
And they usually go hand in hand.
Well, exactly. They go hand in hand. And so this is a big thing, but the fact that they're being, I think, so revealed with the mask. We don't have our mask on. We probably should have opened with our mask. That would have been fun. But they're so revealed that we have got to, and what we wanted to do here is really arm you a little bit more with some information on the eye products that we have for home care, but then also going into some treatments.
Exactly.
And I think our big thing, and as we were talking through this, is that you guys need to figure out ways, and even if all you're doing is a treatment with them with their mask on, so if you have people that are still uncomfortable coming into you, tell them they can wear their mask, and you've got your setup with your mask, sometimes your shield, all that you have, and that you want to do this eye treatment. And we're going to get to that. There's two different options, and talk to you a little bit more about that today. But that's something that you really, I think, they should take advantage of right now, because it is so front and center.
It really is. And, you know, and I know that for my eyes, I mean, I've seen a lot of more, you know, loss of hydration and crepiness coming in. And like you said, with the stress, I think that for everyone, I mean, now we're almost kind of numbed out to, you know, how
What's
everything
going
was at
on?
the beginning of COVID and where it is now. And we're like, okay, I mean, things are better. They're not great, but they're better. But I think that we're kind of just getting accustomed to a certain stress level, and may not even realize, like you said, that we're stressed out and, you know, have so much going on. So
exactly. And so all that contributes. So when we look at it, and we've always talked about, you know, don't let eyes reveal your age, unveil your beauty, and your eyes and they're important to women particularly. And that is something that's just a part of natural aging with our eyes. But, you know, as we look at this and kind of our fine lines and wrinkles, I mean, that's a big thing.
Yep.
Crepiness, and then loss of hydration on here. All of these things, as we talk about it, really have to do with aging.
Oh, definitely.
They just fall right into what's going on with the body and the skin when we're aging. Now, it can be accelerated by what we just talked about, stress, lack of sleep.
Exactly. Or, you know, sometimes people also, they tend to forget about the eyes, like from a protection standpoint, you know, wearing sunglasses. I fall into that category. I'm not as diligent with wearing them. You always are. And, you know, you're like, you got to have your sunnies on. And it's true, though. You do, because, you know, all that free radical damage just kind of can speed that up. And then, like you said, stress and lack of sleep.
Yeah, and using eye products, because, and we're going to talk a little bit about, because what's one of the, you know, big things for free radicals? Your antioxidants, right? And so we need to get some of those around the eyes. And so there's different things that we can do. So we're always looking at that. But these are your kind of, I guess, what you see visibly, some of the things. And then we're going to go to the next slide of kind of more getting into some of the puffiness and dark circles and things. But really, when you're thinking about fine lines and wrinkles and even kind of crepiness, they sort of go hand in hand. That collagen, elastin, loss of exactly being depleted, loss of elasticity, and just starting to show itself. Now, when we sleep too, so that's the other thing, is because a lot of times we're doing this and things like that, and so we're going to talk to you about what to do with that and how that can help and slow that down. But a lot of times you're getting accelerated aging in this area more so than other areas of your skin because of sleeping and how you're compressing your eyes, and that turns into wrinkles and kind of what we're talking about here. And then loss of hydration. And you were just talking about that. Like yours feel more really dry.
Yeah, and for those of you that, you know, that use the Woods lamp or that use some of those imaging devices where it shows you the lack of hydration in your skin, like I know for me, mine were always dehydrated. Always, even in Florida. And so, you know, hydration is really important. And I think that if you're not using the right eye care products or any at all, that's going to really show up.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. And that's just happening kind of as a natural part of aging too. So, you know, the lipids, the transepidermal water loss is happening faster, and we'll kind of talk about that when we get into the philosophy too.
And I was going to say, you know, when we think about that tissue around the eye area too, it's not like the tissue here. It's a lot thinner, and so, you know, you are going to experience that transepidermal water loss a lot faster, or that breakdown of that collagen elastin too.
Yeah, definitely. And then we know that a lot of people really talk about puffiness and dark circles. I've mentioned mine. I keep pointing them out. I probably shouldn't do that. But I know what's going on. And so some of these things are, like we've talked about with stress, and you know, a lot of, I would say, kind of with puffiness and dark circles particularly, and then when we talk about maybe bags a little bit more, which is maybe where I could possibly talk about mine. Maybe they're more bags than those, but they all kind of have a similarity when it comes to, you know, sleep, you know, just overall what's going on with the body, stresses, things like that.
Exactly. Like, you know, like you said, I mean, sleep deprivation. I mean, think about new moms, or, you know, anyone that's just under a lot of sleepless nights and stress. Like, certainly those things are all going to be, you know, exacerbated, if you will. But then, I mean, I know for allergies, I mean, when we've got allergies going on here, you know, everyone's eyes are like itchy and irritated, and you find yourself maybe rubbing them and touching them more. That can certainly cause it. You know, I know when I cry, mine like puff up like this, like even from the smallest amount of tears from a movie, you know, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I look like a mess. You know, so we've got that too.
So yeah, we're puffiness and bags. I mean, they kind of like, you can, are puffy, a lot of times that's something that we can deal with from a standpoint of, you know, you can use ice, like ice globes. You know, if you were crying, probably the next day they're not going to be as puffy, whatever that is. And so where bags are a little bit different, and they can be contributed to things in the body too, and some of those. So we'll get over to that. Is there anything else to say on the dark circles? I mean, I think kind of what you were saying too with the thin tissue is just that's when those dark circles become more prevalent as that area is thinning even quicker. And so we really need to do things under here to slow that down and protect the skin. A lot of the dark circles, though, I would say, are really genetic too.
Yes.
and they're contributed to things in the body. A similar thing with the bags, like I've heard different things with the liver, even kidneys can be, but liver is really associated with both dark circles and bags. So there's internal things going on for sure.
Absolutely.
And we know that, and all of that's contributed on the skin.
And, you know, and I think that it is important that, you know, as a professional, and you all know from working with many different clients, and you see the different types of dark circles and puffiness and bags, you know, but if it is something that's a genetic thing, that can be really tricky to handle and to see the type of improvement sometimes that clients want too.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's important to have those discussions. And then, like you said, like, let's, you know, if you're working with a naturopath or something like that, you know, maybe they need some detoxification or they need, you know, some kind of supplementation for internal issues too.
And that, and it can really make a difference. And we talked about the screen time on here, and we're working on, we've been wearing our glasses, our, you know, blue light glasses to help protect our eyes too, but also working on some serums that could potentially come out probably for 2021. We'll see. They've been in the works for a while, and that's to help our skin with all of that screen time and from the blue light. And it's becoming more and more. Well, one, we're in front of the screen so much more, and COVID didn't help with that, right? So everybody's doing Zoom meetings and then these webinar style educations, and just sitting in front of your computer much more, and really understanding. There's been, I guess if it's studies or understanding, I would say, of how much that's starting to then affect the skin and have sort of a negative effect on that way. And certainly our eyes can get much more tired. It can even cause us to not sleep well.
Yeah.
When we've had too much time and strain there, because then that does stuff to our eyes and our kind of brain and all that connection. And so, I mean, having something that we can put on our skin and really help us with this will be, you know, a good thing for the AM too.
Definitely.
But I just wanted to point that out because it's on there. And then let's talk about the bags under our eyes a little bit more. Maybe the only thing I would probably add here, and we kind of mentioned it, but I would add alcohol. I do believe, you know, and alcohol contributes to a lot of things. And sometimes we don't realize that, you know, maybe one glass of wine here or there, maybe a little bit of tequila.
Sipping tequila.
That's what I like sometimes, right? But, you know, if we do too much alcohol, it is going to really wreak havoc on our well-being. And so I'm just saying that specifically with, you know, kind of bags under the eyes, because it is contributed and it will continue to kind of make those even worse and worse. And so just it's good for you to know that, because when you're trying to bring products in and you're trying to help someone with an issue, and yet maybe they are an excessive drinker, just so that you kind of can think of that, or they have extreme stress in their life and they can identify that. Well, you're only going to get so far with that. And that's where bringing in relaxing kind of treatments in the treatment room can really de-stress, and how important facials are.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes that's one of the big things, is just the de-stressing of what facials do, mask, things around the eyes, massage, all of that.
Well, and, you know, and you bring up the point of alcohol, and I think that, you know, even like during this time with COVID and so forth, they've talked about how there's been these increases in alcohol consumption or sugar and like unhealthy foods and different things that, like you were saying, like all that stuff can really have an impact on you. And, you know, and so like have those conversations with your clients, you know, and really try to help support them as best as you can and explain to them, you know, the impact it has on their skin, because that's why they're coming to you. But, you know, that's all internal.
You got to kind of partner up, right? And not just, okay, they're going to be diligent in their home care, which is one thing to get them to do. And once they start that, they'll see a difference. But then what else is going on that's contributing, and how can you kind of, you know, voice that, work on that? And so I just wanted to mention that with this. Generally, it's a part of aging. So that's just what happens. We can get, you know, all of these things, the wrinkles, the bags, the puffiness, dark circles, all of that is a general part of aging too. But then there's things that are going on that we can kind of work with. And then what we're talking about here is the mask guys, which we already kind of said. And, you know, so here they are. They're right there. What's going on with them? And, you know, how that mask really does affect kind of the skin. And, you know, like, everyone's worn their glasses and then put a mask on. I'm sure we've all experienced this. And then everything fogs up, right? And so, you know, hence the, you know, the air, the warm air coming out to the surface.
Yeah. That's just going to dry that whole area right out. And then depending on how your mask fits on your face, I mean, that's where you can get like all that squishing going on.
You need to kind of push this down, then put your, we should do a little mask, how to put your mask on without, you know, damaging your eyes more and creating more of that. But it is true, you just whip that thing on and it can be creating some things that you don't really want. And so, you know, talking about that, but I think, you know, the dryness is so important, and that's going to just get further and further the longer that we're wearing the mask.
Absolutely. And, you know, and then if you all have clients that are in the medical industry too, I mean, they're wearing sometimes those N90, well, most of the time I feel like they're wearing the N95s. And I mean, those can like leave like indentations all in that area too. So, you know, just got to be real careful.
And we do have our first line defense kind of relief for the mask. We're looking at maybe kind of helping and adding a few other things because so many people are getting breakouts, as you know. Some of you have even posted on the forum some of that and what's really going on. And you know, so when we think about that, and I'm not campaigning here for mask or no mask, but what I want to say is that there is something to really think about common sense wise. If we put a mask on our face and it's creating all of this either breakouts or other damage or dryness on the skin, remembering that our skin is our first line of defense for health. It keeps toxins and bacteria out of our body. And so it's very important, and many times we can neglect the skin because it's just here, you know, and we're just going around we take it for granted. And so, you know, that's not healthy, and that's creating another kind of realm of issues. The good thing for us in the industry is that it's allowing you to be able to step in and kind of help on the skin side with masks. But just thinking about that, and then what are some ways that we can really offset some of those things, and what are things they need to do before, what do they need to do, you know, they're getting the indentions on the nose too, rashes, breakouts, all kinds of different things. And then of course in this conversation, taking care of the eyes and giving them a little more hydration.
Exactly.
So one of the things that you know, you can do for like hydration is obviously cucumber spritz. And you know, sometimes if you take it and you kind of spray it around this area and then just, you know, a little tapotment and just work that into the eye tissue, and you can do that a few times a day. I mean, you can even close your eyes and do this and really get it nice and hydrated. So that's something that is really just a little trick. And then, you know, maybe even, so sometimes I'll bring the eye and lip renew even during the day, and I just really work it in and kind of just, where at night we don't do that as much. We'll talk about that. But there's things you can do to kind of offset some of that hydration.
Absolutely.
Or dehydration.
And and you know, and that's the thing. I mean, there are different tips and tricks, and we're going to certainly talk about those. And then I just want to say, you gave a really nice plug for our skin health webinar that we're going to be having.
Okay,
so
when's
that one?
Good. Is that coming up?
I believe that's in October.
Okay.
So.
Yes. Well, hopefully you got the educational, you know, schedule. I know if you're on here, you probably did. And so we're excited to just get back into the flow of some education too, and some of the classes coming up. And skin health is just, I've been excited because we've been trying on some level to teach about skin health in different ways. You know, we've got our vitamin A's that we consider really valuable for the skin and what that does for aging and how that helps the skin, but how they've been used, and it goes right along with skin health and so other aspects of what we've been doing over the years. But I feel like that I always think it's great to find the blessings in disguises, right? And for what's happened to our country with COVID and what we've been dealing with since really March, it's been before, but for us really more heavily, and the skin health and really educating on that is just going to be, it's great for the future and the future of skin and the future of the health of your clients, and ways that you can continue to understand that more and more and communicate that. So I'm excited about that webinar too.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
All right. And so when we think about our philosophy, it is increased hydration, reduce fine lines and wrinkles, and minimize puffiness and dark circles, all the things we kind of just talked about. So when we talk about increasing hydration, that's just being depleted. And we mentioned already, I believe, is that, transepidermal water loss is happening more rapidly as we're aging, especially in this area, in this tissue. Think about the way that you're sleeping. Think about how you potentially can ignore the eye area and work on other areas. So it's not, and it's a thinner tissue. So it's got these elements that if it's left alone, it's definitely going to accelerate its aging, and then you're going to lose that hydration because of it.
For sure.
So let's talk about these ingredients here.
Oh, I mean, so liquid cholesterol crystals, I feel that you all have heard us talk about this over the years, and if you're new to the RA skincare line, this is an ingredient that you're going to hear about quite frequently. We do use it in our eye and lip renew serum, and we'll talk more about that here in just a little bit. But it is just such an amazing ingredient, and how it really helps to not only deliver hydration, but also it creates like an occlusion to lock that hydration in the skin.
Yeah.
And it helps to impede that wrinkle formation too.
Yeah.
So it is a phenomenal ingredient. And, just love how, for those of you that use Eye and Lip Renew, just love how you can tell the difference when you're applying liquid cholesterol crystals to the skin.
Definitely. One of my all-time favorites ingredient, especially for the eyes, and I would say it's one of the number one things to do, and you can start to do it early. For some young, it might be a little rich, and we'll get to that. Maybe we can get off track, because when we're talking about the ingredient, then we're talking about we want to get to the product slide too. So maybe we shouldn't say anything else, but it's phenomenal. And then of course, L-sodium hyaluronate. People know about that, but
I mean, that's going to help with that transepidermal water loss piece really by a lot. And so just so beneficial for the skin, and your skin naturally contains that ingredient. And so it's really important for us to realize that as it's being depleted, we've got that ingredient in our Moisture Enzyme specifically.
It's in the Moisture Enzyme, right. But this is another little tip, is that you can be using, I've mentioned the cucumber spritz already, and cucumber spritz with our hyaluronic serum is phenomenal around the eyes. It's not necessarily in the eye line in that way, but it's something that you may have your clients be using full face, and then they could just bring that up around the eye area and then apply their eye serum over top, and that is just going to accelerate the hydration quite a bit.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah.
And then the D-glucuronate tone. That's in the eye revitalizer.
That's a humectant, right?
That's a humectant though. And that's probably what I should have just said. That third one right there, humectant properties.
We try to say them every now and then.
I know. But that's again, humectants are going to help to bind and attract moisture in the skin, and really give us that boost in hydration as well. So, eye revitalizer will have that too.
Yeah. So I guess, three kind of what we try to do here is just pull out some key ingredients that work for that kind of part of the philosophy. There's other elements throughout the products, the formulations that help with hydration too. And then there's little tips and tricks, and sometimes even bringing the moisturizer up. I bring Infuse 7 all the way up all the time. You can do things like that, but just remember that hydration element. And then now let's get into the reducing fine lines and wrinkles. And here we're talking a lot of peptides. Right? We got the liquid crystal here. Peptides really help to signal things. They help, that tissue to stimulate kind of more collagen and elastin, which helps on the wrinkles. They can add some firmness and things like that. What we really wanted to do on this slide for you is go through a little bit of the actual clinicals of these. And so we're going to talk about each one. And the hexapeptide, did we not have one? Oh, maybe not.
I believe that's
Did
going
I missing it?
be
Is that the arginine?
the.
Okay. Yeah, we have the different names in here. So
I know. I'm like, oh boy, I should have looked at the presentation.
I know, but that's okay. We can figure that out. And so with that one, and that's the hexapeptide, the acetylhexapeptide A is in our eye revitalizer,
Yeah.
is our main one that we use that. And let's talk about that study and kind of what it was showing.
And in that, I mean, first of all, like you had mentioned, peptides are going to help to signal a response in the skin, whether it's collagen, elastin, or to, inhibit maybe a communication telling the muscle to contract, or sometimes they're going to be even rejuvenating too. But with the acetylhexapeptide, though, there was a clinical study where we saw a 17% wrinkle reduction after applying that product or that specific peptide for 15 days. Over the course of 30 days, they actually saw a 27% wrinkle reduction. So
Yeah.
when we think about, the crow's feet and the fine lines that are forming around there, just think about how that's going to really impact that skin, cause that reduction, some nice firming and toning properties, are going to give that way and give that
Yeah.
look.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
great. And I love going through these studies because
Oh,
when
my
you just see
goodness.
this and then it's just so phenomenal, and then when the formula comes together. And so then the next one, that's in our eye lift.
Yes, yes. And so this one actually had some really cool stuff, and it's really neat because, like you said, like I hadn't looked at the study book in a while where it shows all the clinicals, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I forgot about that. Oh no, I
Yeah.
need that, But in this one, though, we're looking at a 28-day study of 45 volunteers, and they were asked to apply a product containing snake,
Snake.
twice a day. And so with that, they saw a 37% reduction in the crow's feet area, in the wrinkles in the crow's feet area over a period of 28 days. So again, here we are, we're looking at roughly about a month's period of time, and just see how your clients can actually see that change in the skin. Or if they're a little bit younger and they're really not showing a lot of deep wrinkling, just think about how that's going to be such great preventative for them too.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I wanted to mention is a lot of times with these studies, and this is the case with most all of these, is that they're in a cream base, and that's what they use for their study. And then when you look at our formulations, we always use pretty much every single time when you see a peptide or an active, it uses the highest percentage that it can be used based on the clinical studies and the safeness of that particular ingredient, percentage-wise. And then it's in typically some form of a serum, something that's really going to be able to penetrate even quicker into the skin. The skin's going to receive it better. And so I like to mention that whenever you're looking at clinicals, because then when you take that now and look at an overall formulation, you can see that even accelerate.
Absolutely. And we use such great technology too in our formulation. I mean, I know that you're always, up on just the best delivery systems too, and so that's going to really make a difference when you're talking about these things, because it's going to get it on there and get it on there at a good strength.
Yeah, most definitely. And then I don't know the name of this one, Aubrey, the octapeptide. What's the...
I believe that one is... Oh my goodness.
So I know that this one is in our peptide 38.
Okay.
And so
then this is then going to be for the dark circles or the puffiness. I believe
it could be, I don't know if that's the SNAP A.
I feel terrible.
Sorry
right
guys,
now.
we should have written, because you understand what we're saying. So there's an inky name, and then there's a
brand name.
Yeah, brand name. And so you have both of those, and what you put on the label, or what we kind of more communicate, or like the consumer hears, is like hexapeptide and things like that. But we have our studies listed more by the brand name, so we're trying to figure that one out. So I think it could be this one.
Yeah, I believe it
because
is.
if you look at the tripeptide, that one is, I believe that is the, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
So, yes, so the Ilis, which is going to be in your, which is
Peptide 38,
the
octapeptide
octapeptide
3.
So here we saw, this is gonna be more focused for those bags under the eyes, okay? That's really what we're looking at. And so here we had a clinical study with 20 volunteers, again, applying it twice a day. And typically, most of the studies were twice a day.
Twice a day, yeah.
But they saw a 65% reduction in chronic under eye bags after 28 days. And certain individuals in the study saw as great as a 70% reduction in bags after 56 days of application, twice a day. And so, like, when we think of like our peptide 3-in-1 product, you know, if you've got clients that have those bags, that is an excellent product to recommend to them. And you could even mention the clinical study that's involved with that.
Yeah.
And, you know, really get them excited about it. And I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
it's an incredible formula. So
Yeah.
we'll talk more about that.
Yeah,
in a
and
bit.
I think too, and then the thing is like as we're looking at the studies, and then you look at the formulation, and then you incorporate some of the issues that are already going on with that particular situation. Like, so, you know, we talked about bags under your eyes. Well, that's contributed to other things. So if you're helping your clients to be more aware of that, and then they're using the products, they're really going to see a difference and see results.
Yeah.
And so you can bring it all together.
Definitely.
And then we have this tetrapeptide.
Which is our haloxyl, and this was a 56-day study with 22 volunteers applying. Now, this one was just once a day, so, but they still saw an anti-darkening effect take place around those dark circles, where they saw diminished up to 60%. So that's really big, you know, and again, dark circles are something that, just like with the bags and the puffiness we were saying, there's a lot of factors that could be contributing. But, you know, you have tools in your arsenal, though, that can really be beneficial. And then, you know, speaking to your client, like you said, about X, Y, and Z, let's target on our health and well-being and stress reduction and sleep.
For sure, right. And then a couple more ingredients that help fine lines and wrinkles, the liquid crystal cholesterol, we've already talked about that, cholesterol crystals, and then antioxidants, MMP inhibitors.
Yep.
Those are really important. I think that we've got Indian gooseberry, spintrap, and L-ascorbic acid kind of throughout some of the different formulas, and so we'll talk about those. But remembering that antioxidants are super important, and especially in the AM, and so that's typically where most of those fall, is more of an AM use, and you want to do that to protect the eyes and all that.
Exactly, yeah. So just some really great ways to help protect that collagen.
Yes, and then our other one that we wanted to kind of highlight here too is, what do we do when we say minimize puffiness and dark circles? So we wanted to, you know, give a few ingredients for that as well, and kind of talk about that further. And does this one have a study too?
That one?
I think just the tetrapeptide. Okay.
Yeah. But, you know, but again, here, I mean, you've got that chrysin complex, and you're going to find that in the eye lift. And I mean, that is just, that's a terrific ingredient that's going to help with, you know, really just transforming that tissue as far as a little bit of puffiness and just reducing that down and giving us a more brighter effect around the eye, which is always important. The acetyl tetrapeptide 5, that's going to be also in the eye lift. And as you can kind of start to see, eye lift and peptide 3-in-1 eye cream are loaded.
They're both loaded, and so what we're going to try to do is explain the difference-ish and, you know, how you would choose one over the other.
But, you know, but again, this is another one, though, that's going to help to target that. And then what I love about the peptide 3-in-1 is that we've got that plantain leaf stem cell.
That stem cell.
Oh, my goodness. Guys, I'm telling you, that stem cell does amazing for, like, so I saw a nice change take place in my, around my eye area, and I tend to gravitate more towards eye lift normally. But then I was like, well, I was kind of sold myself on peptide 3-in-1 again. I'm like, I haven't used that in a while, and that's got this in it. I'm like, I need to buy that. Well, it's helped so much with, like, kind of almost like, I had like a little bit of like a purpley reddish kind of dark circle. Like it wasn't like traditional kind of purple, but it was, you know, I had been sick and like end of November, beginning of December, and it just took a lot out of me. And so I found that by using the peptide 3-in-1 eye cream, it really did, like it helped to brighten up that tissue and just worked really well at, you know, it helping to support the skin. So, and stem cells are so reparative.
Yeah, definitely. Very reparative.
And then of course our herbs, butcher's broom, which is in the eye revitalizer, gives us some really nice, you know, firming sensation to help minimize that puffiness. And then the marshmallow root, which is in the peptide 3-in-1 eye cream.
Yeah. So lots of ingredients that are in different ones. So mainly eye revitalizer, peptide 3-in-1, and eye lift. You're going to find these to really focus in on that puffiness, dark circle issue. And so as we just kind of went through that, just pulling out a few key ingredients to give you an overall total eye kind of care, whether they're dealing with the puffiness and dark circles or the fine lines and wrinkles or the hydration or all three. And so then what we want to do now is we want to go through each product with you and just talk to you a little bit more about that, give you a better understanding, and we're going to start with the makeup remover.
Yes.
So yeah, we're like, I'll just say that the makeup remover came about because we wanted to formulate something for lash extensions. That's how it first really kind of started, like, okay, let's do something for that. Those are becoming more and more, you know, everyone's wearing them. It's, you know, something that's needed, and they need to be able to take care of their eye makeup and that area. Absolutely. So that's kind of what happened with it. It does offer more than that too. You know, just your eye makeup. You can even bring it down on your face as a first gentle cleanse to do a pre-makeup removal. And so it's just very versatile, and then it's got a phenomenal ingredient deck.
It really does. I mean, so many antioxidants and anti-inflammatory ingredients, hydrators, and I like it because I don't feel that it leaves behind like that really slick, oily, greasy residue that a lot of makeup removers will do. And, you know, for you all in the treatment room, let alone from a home care standpoint for your clients, but in the treatment room, you know, clients come in sometimes full face of makeup, or maybe they've got lipstick on, and you know, you want to just clean them all up, and it does a beautiful job. Yeah.
So that's great, and that can be a part of, you know, recommending it for someone with the lash extensions and then that wears a lot of makeup on especially their eyes. That's going to be where it's going to be the most helpful. And so just like I said, a lot of antioxidants, great ingredient deck, very soothing, calming on the skin too, and a really nice one. So moving on to an actual formula here that we've kind of mentioned a few times.
Yes.
Eye revitalizer, and you were talking about the peptide 3-in-1 and then the eye lift, and you were using, and this is the one I can use. I was sitting here while you were saying that and going, you know what, I think I'm going to try some of those again.
See,
but every time I do, we sell ourselves every time we talk about a formula. It's like, but so let me tell you kind of just something to help you if you do have someone that's more sensitive. So you may or may not know, but my skin is sensitive, rosacea. I have rosacea, and typically I am pretty reactive to things. When I have used, particularly when we were testing these formulations, you try to use everything, and I'm like, does my skin have to be? If I had a normal skin, I could test everything and do well. But when I test certain things, in the peptide 3-in-1 as well as the eye lift, both gave me, in the peptide 3-in-1 more, almost like little red dots and irritation. And the eye lift, it wasn't the red dots that I got, but it was like almost like a redness, like my eye just did not like it. It didn't respond well. And I contribute that to, those are fairly complex. There's, like you were saying, there's so much in both of those formulations for, you know, all the different peptides, some stem cells, other aspects. And so what I've kind of concluded, this kind of falls right into formulations that we use for the skin. You know, complex ones, sometimes like antioxidant complex serum. I can't use that. It's a beautiful formulation, it works great, but I can't use it. And so what I feel like is something for you to keep in mind is when you have someone that's sensitive, when you have someone that maybe is even rosacea, then go for a more simplistic, in a way, formulation like eye revitalizer. And then you can couple that with, of course, our eye and lip at night. And use that, and they can still get really good results, where sometimes the other formulas, I don't necessarily want to use the word rich, more kind of active.
Yeah, stimulating.
And stimulating, and that just can create some issues on certain types of skin. So one of the things you can do is start with eye revitalizer and then build up into that for some skins. If they're kind of like me, like the last time I did try, I think it was the eye lift, but that's been several years now. It still wasn't working well for me. And our skin changes over time too, and less sensitivities, more just depending on what we're, how we're taking care of it. Our body changes, all of those things are going to impact. So I might give both of those a try again, but that's just something for you to keep in mind. Now, other than that, let's just talk about the formula as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, eye revitalizer is beautiful. This really is just a great formula. You've got that acetyl hexapeptide in here that's going to have more of that wrinkle relaxing effect. So remember, it's going to really help to just minimize those fine lines and wrinkles. And then with the different botanical extracts that we have in here from the butcher's broom, that's going to really help with strengthening those blood vessels. And what that does is that's going to help to reduce some of that dark circle appearance, And then the calendula having just beautiful anti-inflammatory support. So like you said, if they're more sensitive, why not give them those benefits? It's going to help to target them. And then the little bit of shimmer that we get from the mica.
I know.
Should probably put that on before coming in
we
here.
should have just done that. I was thinking, I don't even know. We didn't really look at ourselves, so we hope we look good. We're in a new setup right now. And so I probably should have done some eye revitalizer.
Yeah.
But that is, and like you were saying, it's really pretty too, the product, the way it comes out. And it's a little less expensive than the other two, hence just kind of maybe a little more simpler aspect. It still has peptide, in there. It still has all of the elements that you need for the eyes, but it can work on those skin. Great one for young, in their 20s.
Absolutely.
And it's the other thing that we like about this one is that you can use it when your eyes get tired. So if you're going to dinner at the end of a long day, just put that on. It brightens up your eyes. You feel a sensation. It kind of gives you an awakening feel around your eyes, which is nice.
Yeah.
So beautiful formulation. Anything else to say on that? I think that might be.
So. I think that's good.
Might be good. And then our eye lift.
Yes.
So we've mentioned several ingredients here.
We have, and what I love about this one is I do love the texture of it and the creaminess that's with it, and and it just does a beautiful job at really hydrating the tissue, plumping up those fine lines and wrinkles, and then again, you've got those 3 different pieces to it that we've already talked about with peptide support that's going to help with increasing collagen synthesis, reducing puffiness, and of course reducing those dark circles too around the eye area. So we've got a lot of different benefits here. And then I'll wait until we go to the next one, and then kind of we can do a compare
That's what I
and
think
contrast.
we should do. So there are some different ingredients in between eye lift and peptide 3-in-1, and then there's some overlap, and they both similarly work on the same thing to a degree. I would say peptide 3-in-1 maybe a little bit better on some of the puffiness and dark circles when you really look at the whole formulation, but definitely hydration and fine lines and wrinkles and all of that. So that's where how do you choose? So let's talk about the peptide 3-in-1 quickly, and then we'll try to bring those together a little bit.
Yeah, and so again here, a plethora of peptides, plus we've got that stem cell technology. And and I really do, I agree with you, the puffiness and the dark circles, given the ingredient deck here, you do see it's elevated. It's just an elevated
a little
formula.
bit faster with that, with the results too.
Yeah. And then, stem cell technology is really reparative on the skin. And so we have to think, we've been talking about the damage that this area gets because it's thinned out and, it's just more susceptible to a lot. And so that's where we're going to get so much benefit from that stem cell technology too.
Yeah,
So-
and the texture's a little bit different on this. The kind of, and you've used both, so what's your best way of describing the difference between the two?
I would say that this one feels not quite as heavy when you're applying it to the area. Like, you know, and I don't know how that makes sense, but there's like a weighted difference when you're applying them. And I feel that this one is just a little bit more of a lighter texture, so it just glides on real easy, where the other one has maybe just a little bit more
cream. A little more cream.
Yeah. And that would be my main, you know, difference between the two. And it's nice to rotate them around, you know, use peptide 3-in-1, run out of that bottle, use iLift, you know.
Well, that's what I think is great for someone like you that can use anything pretty much on her eye area, and for the most part her skin, in many ways. And so you can rotate things around, and you're going to get the benefits of those ingredients. The skin's going to stay, in a way, a state of confusion or a state of alertness or a state of, hey, okay, something different here, and I'm going to keep responding, and I'm going to keep doing what it's telling me to do, and these ingredients are going to perform better. And so I think rotating is really important as much as you can, and not everyone can do that. I'm one of those that typically can't do that. I've kind of got my little routine, and I try to bring in something here and there, maybe once a week or something like that, to be a little bit different, but on a daily basis or just regularly, I'm not one of those candidates. But I'm not, am I real rare? Could I be a rare? I don't know, because rosacea and sensitivities are certainly skyrocketing these days for some reason. But in general, you're going to probably find more of that normal kind of pro-youth kind of client, and you can go between iLift and peptide 3-in-1. And the way that you could decide which one they use, in the beginning, if they do have more puffiness and dark circles, then maybe go for the peptide 3-in-1. If it's neither one of those situations, you could have them feel it.
Yeah.
What texture do they prefer, especially if you're coupling it, which we would recommend with the Eye and Lip Renew. And we'll tell you a little bit more about why. So kind of these first three that we've talked about here, Eye Revitalizer, Eye Lift, and Peptide 3-in-1, those can all be done in the AM. They can be used PM too, but they can be done in the AM, and then we're looking to our Eye and Lip Renew as our PM option. And so you want to kind of bring those two in. So that's maybe what I would say, is just really seeing. And if you want to start with one or the other, if you were just getting started, then, you know, talking with an educator too, or kind of going, oh, I see more of this, then let's start with this one here versus the eye lift, or vice versa.
And, you know, and you bring up a good point, and I'm going to stress this to you guys too, like, you know, the eyes, I mean, really that is one of those first places where we do see aging. And nowadays, like you said at the beginning, with the mask wearing, it's really accentuated. And so if you're not carrying our eye care products right now, this is a really great opportunity. It has that beautiful, elegant, very eye-catching label. And so, you know, for your clients, they're like, ooh, what's that? They don't know, you know, they just see all of a sudden you've got this beautiful, you know, eye care product or products.
Collection.
You know, collection, yeah. And, you know, and it just gets them excited, and it's a really great way to, you know, start building your investment back too, and growing your business as far as a revenue standpoint. So yeah, and you just want to add in those eyes. Like we, you know, normally when you do that AM/PM regimen, you get their skincare, but you like the eyes are like a given, kind of like sunscreen, you know. So you want to have those as that's a staple with every one of my clients' regimens. And if they're not doing something around the eyes, I got to get them to doing that and explain the importance and what's going on with aging and all of those things. So then let's talk about Eye and Lip Renew. Again, we've brought this up several times. It's my very favorite. It is.
Obviously. I've got it on now. But so I just did it. Usually I do it just at night, but today I was like, let me just kind of smooth that into some of my wrinkles. Yeah, and you just, because normally when you apply this one, it's a little bit thicker. Okay, we want it to create that occlusive around the eye tissue while we sleep. So whenever you're sleeping, we mentioned, you know, and then the mask, but you know, you're on your side or your eyes are getting crinkled up. When you have something like the Eye and Lip Renew, that's going to create a little occlusive around that eye tissue. And you want it to be tacky. You do not want to work that all the way into the skin. The more occlusive, occluded that area is, the less likely it's going to form wrinkles. And then plus with the ingredients in there too. So what I normally do is I apply it, and then I apply Infuse 7 over it. And it's not, you know, you're not always feeling the tackiness. And that and Infuse 7 or Drop of Essence both help to drive ingredients into this deeper in the skin, and they create a barrier. So for sleeping, it's really, really great to have either one of those on the skin. But that's what, I would do for that area. This can be used on the lips too, and help fine lines and wrinkles. But I think it's just soothing and hydrating, and you definitely can tell a difference when you use this. Or if I don't have it, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I need to get this back quick, if I run out.
You sure do. And remember too, and I think that, you guys have probably heard us say this too, but it is in the morning, you're going to wake up and usually you still got eye and lip renew on.
Yeah.
Like that's good. That's what you want to see. And that means that you applied the right amount. And it really does. Like if you're a stomach or a side sleeper and you're sitting there squishing up your face at night, like that occlusion is just going to help to prevent that from really, causing as much damage as it normally would. And
And even when you sleep on your side, you still wake up with it on there.
Oh yeah. I'm
it might be
side
less and
sleeper.
less and less, as the night goes on, but you still feel hydrated in the morning. But one of the ingredients we haven't talked about is Spin Trap.
Yes.
And Spin Trap, what's so cool about that, it's considered an intelligent kind of an antioxidant. So we know antioxidants, what they quench free radicals. What this does is it kind of like spins.
Yeah. Woo!
It spins, and so sometimes the free radicals can have like a domino effect. This really just spins them out of, I would say that one of the ways that I would say it is spins them out of, oh gosh, I want to say the word use, but they're useless.
Yeah, exactly. Like it spins them back into no longer being a free radical, right? Like
So they can't do any kind of domino type of effect on the skin. And then there's a lot more to it with just what that ingredient is doing to the skin too, and oxygenating and really healthy for the skin overall. But it is just a phenomenal ingredient, and that with the liquid crystal cholesterol crystals is just a great combination.
Yeah, and then we bring in a little bit of that L-ascorbic acid just to give us a little bit more antioxidant, but also, vitamin C is so beneficial for a little collagen synthesis and a little brightening, so that can be really nice. But Spin Trap is an amazing antioxidant, and and that's the thing, because when we think about our antioxidants, they typically, like vitamin C, it's going to help stabilize one molecule, whereas that's the thing with Spin Trap, like it's preventing that domino effect. So now we're going to stabilize, we're going to have more healthy molecules and not causing as much damage so quickly.
Yeah, and when you go into Spin Trap and some of our ingredient more focused webinars, you can really dissect that and really kind of get into that for, a good 15-20 minutes of a talk to understand it more. And it's really, that's why it's an intelligent antioxidant. That's kind of how it's classified that way, because it is very smart. It's very efficient on how it works, and going to be really, really helpful for you. So that kind of formulation, and I would say that this is, you just have to have this product. Like you have to have this product. If they only want to do one product or something like that, it's got to be this one.
Yeah.
I would just stress it, because it's going to be something that will help the wrinkles that are already there. It's going to really add hydration. It's just, I can't say enough about it.
It hits on pretty much on everything that we discussed, because if we're getting hydration, if we're getting some collagen, we're getting some protection, we're getting all of that, then it's going to pretty much hit on everything. And the vitamin C gives us a little bit of brightening. Yeah. So there's our philosophy, all in one product. And remember too that, in that half-ounce size, your client's going to have that for probably about 5 to 6 months. So, if somebody gives you a little bit of pushback about, oh, I don't want to spend, the money on it, explain to them, this isn't something that you're going to be, out of in, 4 to 6 weeks. Like this is something that's going to last you for several months. And so you're really investing in that eye area.
Yeah. And they're going to love it. They really will. One of the things that I would say is they'll love it more probably about a month to 6 weeks in. When you teach them how to use it, this is the one product that you do want to teach your clients. So when you first get it out, so you want to I just pump a little bit right on this finger, my ring finger, and then I just kind of do this, and then I just staple it in. just like this, and then I just leave it alone. And then I'll take something to go over it. But you kind of melt them together, like melt your fingers together so that it softens it. It causes it to not be,
Quite as tacky. And
helps to melt into
Yeah.
the eye tissue. That's what you're trying to do. So you want to do that and teach them, because otherwise they get in there and they start trying to put it on and they're like, what? And it's not going in, or, they're trying to smooth it on. So really do that, because then they're going to like it more and they're going to appreciate that versus just taking them home. And using it in the treatment room is amazing. We're going to talk to you about some treatments for the eyes specifically here in a minute too. But when you use it in the treatment room, if you want to just put it under, especially if you're going to be doing steam, a mask, your serum steps, wherever, just put a little bit of that under the eye tissue. It feels, when you're laying down, it kind of feels just like soothing, but what is that? Almost like a what's the word? Just
Well, it just has a really nice kind of sensation.
silky.
Yeah, silky, and kind of like a little bit of a weighted texture, which kind of brings, I don't know, just a level of
relaxation and just you're just kind of like, oh, what is that they're applying there? And then as you put any heat over that, or iPads, it just starts to melt more and more into the tissue. You're going to see really plumpness, hydration. The eye tissue is going to be beautiful. So I recommend that kind of always, but depending on how you do your facials and whether or not you do eyes as a separate thing, as an add-on, whatever you want to do there. And when we talk about the actual eye treatments, we'll get into that. But this is a good treatment room staple, for sure. For sure. Okay, we probably said enough about that one.
Yep.
Want to keep talking about it. Okay, the moisture enzyme. So our little enzyme action for the eyes, right?
Yes, and this is something that, again, is really nice to use in the treatment room. It's a great product to retail, especially if clients are looking for a little eye treatment.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not coming in right now, they're afraid of, having to either wear a mask, or they just don't feel comfortable. You want to make sure then that they have what they need to be taking care of that eye tissue, and this is a great product for them to use at home. But like you said, beautiful enzyme. We've got a little bit of lactic acid in there too, so we're going to get some very mild, gentle exfoliation, nice boost in hydration and brightening. And then again, we've got D-alpha tocopherol. That's a really powerful antioxidant, and it provides some hydration to the skin. Our L-sodium hyaluronate in here too is going to give us a nice plumping action and help with that transepidermal water loss. So it is just beautiful, and it really leaves that tissue just very hydrated, nourished, glowing,
brighter,
just looking really good.
And then you can do right after any of the eye products. If you're doing it at night, the eye and lip will go on beautifully. You can use that a few times a week. I would recommend typically using it just once a week, kind of like an enzyme that you would use on the face, and just say that, and just bump up their eye home care routine. And whether they use that at night and then put the eye and lip over top after 20 minutes or so, or during the day, but just once a week, and then you can ease into that depending on their skin and how their skin responds. This is one, to me, that my eyes are a little bit sensitive to this one. And it may be because of the lactic acid in there. It just may be that enzymatic activity around my eyes is just a little too much. So you want to make sure that you're easing in and telling your clients not to overuse it, because then the eye tissue can become red and irritated, and you don't want that. And so other than that, it is a really great weekly kind of additional treatment. If they're doing any of the home facials that we brought out, that's a good thing to add, to do this around the eyes while they're doing their home, their face enzyme and mask and things like that. So just, what we're trying to also encourage you of here is not allowing what's happening right now in the country, and some of the stay-at-home, and some people that either may have underlying concerns, health issues, and they're just not wanting, they're a little still nervous, or just not sure if they should go out and about. Don't take the opportunity to what am I trying to say?
Well,
take the opportunity to really capitalize on that,
Yeah.
and don't sit back and go, oh, well, they're just not coming in and I'm not. No, get on there and say, let's do a Zoom meeting. Let me look at your eyes. Let me look at your face. But in this case, as we're talking about this, let's do a home care eye treatment.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Figure out some things that you can do, because all of this, and when we talk about health of the skin, is super important. And so you don't want them to kind of fall way behind because of other things that might be going on. So
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to kind of say.
Absolutely, and that's another great segue to our next complimentary webinar. You know how
Oh, which
I am.
one's
I'm
that?
always plugging things, but that's
Oh,
our
yeah.
business one.
Yes.
And and we're gonna have a lot of different ideas for you guys because some of you are able to be open and do treatments, and others of you aren't. But there really is, like you said, there's no reason why clients are still purchasing product right now, and
Yeah.
if they're not purchasing it from you, then they're going to Sephora or Ulta.
Shopping online.
Yep. So we want to be able to make sure that that you are there supporting them,
Yeah.
getting them on these regimens, and and if you're not currently carrying our eye care products, it's a great way to just get them excited about something. Like, hey, guess what? I've got this amazing eye mask and this eye and lip renew serum. Do a little blurb on it, a little Facebook Live, promote it up,
Yeah.
and then get some interest from it. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Yeah, so that'll be a good one coming up too. So I think we went through the Eyzyme. So those are the main products that we have in the Eyes brand. And you've got your AM, you've got your PM, you've got your weekly, you've got your makeup remover, and you can do different combinations of that. And then we're going to talk about next is kind of in the treatment room, and then also at the kind of towards the end, we're going to talk about some other things that you can bring in, things we've mentioned already, like Infuse 7, but one we haven't, which is arnica therapy. But we want to talk to you a little bit more about how to make some different combinations of using all of that too. So. But now let's go into the treatment room a little bit.
Definitely. And I think we've kind of said this
Yeah.
already, but like eye treatments, this is going to help you out. Some states, like I think our esthetician friends in Washington, I had heard that you guys were able to perform facials and now the client has to wear the mask. Well, guess what? Eye treatments is
Yeah.
going to get you through that. If there's other states out there that are experiencing that same issue, or, I hope that we're not going to experience a backward motion for any of us, but if we did, you've got something to
Yeah.
offer. Or like you said, people that aren't interested yet in taking their mask off, they're a little nervous, this is going to be really good for them.
Yeah, and that's where it can be standalone, but then add it on. Make sure that you're talking about, I want to add, this lift and tighten eye treatment, this revitalizing eyes. This will go right along with your facial. And in general, when you're doing a facial, you can probably do this in the same amount of time because you're just then going back, and while a mask is on, then you're putting it around the eyes, you're doing each piece. You may want to add 5 to 7 minutes additional time. So it depends on how you're blocking out time right now, all of that. But generally, you can probably get it done in the same thing if you add it on as a facial during your actual facial. I would definitely talk to them about that. And everybody you book, I would say to them, I know, we're all wearing the mask. And when you come in for your facial, I wanted to talk to you about 2 eye treatments that I have. And would you like to do that? And they're this. And we would recommend anywhere from $20 to $30 ish as an add-on. You may have that already built in. It may be whenever we give you pricing, that's more what's your area? Where are you at? That's going to dictate a lot of what you're going to charge, but we wouldn't go under 20 for an add-on for these eye treatments, and then probably around 30, maybe the most. But we know some of you are in really high-end areas, and you're like, nope, I'm charging this. But do that and get whether that's you sending it out as you confirm their appointment, or if you got someone to help you with, and that will be huge. So let's talk about those, okay?
Yes.
Alrighty. So, this is the list of just the products that you need, right? And so I wanted to go through Oh, maybe we didn't put it on
We
here.
didn't put it on there.
So I need that. Let me see if I can get it. You go through this while I look for that.
So, so when we're looking at different eye products that we can bring in if we wanted to create our own customized eye treatment. So we actually have two that we're gonna briefly go through today, but you can always create your own customized one as well. Makeup remover, that's gonna be great to help remove any makeup around the eye area that they're coming in with. Derma Peel is just gonna be a lovely way to gently exfoliate that eye tissue, works so beautifully around that eye area, and just leaves that skin very soft and refined. Sometimes bringing in that moisture enzyme in addition to or in place of can be a nice way, again, of giving us just a little bit more exfoliation, that brightening effect, and some of those humectants that we talked about. And then, depending on masks, there's a lot of, sometimes I think that people think that, an eye treatment is just putting moisture enzyme on them and, in an eye cream or one of our other eye care products. And that's fine, but really you want to make this special and, think about like how we take care of the skin from a facial standpoint. We're gonna do the same thing for that eye tissue. So natural lift mask, and we're going to talk about more about that here in a second, as well as milk mask is another beautiful option because it's very cool and soothing and hydrating for that tissue. And then, what kind of building and strengthening serum am I going to put on that area? Is it a client that's really concerned with like deep fine lines and wrinkles, maybe some crepiness in that tissue? Peptide 38 is going to be amazing. Pumpkin E serum, love that product.
I know.
Oh my goodness, it is so good. That high concentration of vitamin E is going to really get some oxygenation going there, some hydration, very strengthening and healing for the skin. And then, like you had said, eye and lip renew serum.
Yeah.
You talked about how to bring that into the treatment room and then finishing them off. Typically, eye revitalizer tends to be a nice way to do that because they feel that instant, like, ooh, that firming and cooling. But, peptide 3-in-1 or eye lift would be
any of them,
would be great too.
Yeah. And then, of course, cucumber spritz and, spraying the eye pads and things like that. Did you already say that?
No, I didn't.
And then putting that on is really good. So you can spray down, you can put them in little baggies. So we would put them in baggies, and then we would put that on ice. With our mask and ice globes at the beginning of the day. And then we would, whatever we're doing around the eyes, and then at some point you're putting those cool cucumber eye pads on. We need that right now.
Yeah,
and it just feels
good.
Amazing. It just really helps the eyes. I know we need to do some eye treatments around
know.
here. We thought about kind of getting some treatments going and maybe even showing you one, but it just didn't work out, completely. But so that's a really good tip for the treatment room. But before we go into this completely on these two protocols, I wanted to tell you about the home care one. So we did put together a kind of an eye special, and that should be coming out anytime soon. But the home eye treatment is using, of course, the makeup remover and then that moisture enzyme, which we talked about. And then doing a mixture with the milk mask, growth factor serum, and pumpkin E. So what we're thinking right now and what we're really wanting to do, and this can be ongoing, but certainly, and going into the fall, it's a great time as well, but just how dry the eye area is becoming. More and more dry, the mask, everything we've talked about so far. So adding and taking that milk mask, which is a really good milk protein, then and so it can take on ingredients and you're just going to get the benefits of those. Mixing growth factor serum, pumpkin E serum, and having your clients apply that around the eyes. They can apply that on the whole face if they want to.
Yeah.
So you can tell them that too, and that's just going to be beautiful hydration. But around that eye area, then once they remove it, doing the eye and lip and going to bed, or then the eye revitalizer too. So a combination of those. So that's kind of a home treatment that you guys can do and sell that system to them. But so the other two treatments, the revitalizing eye treatment we've had, and that's just as a protocol, and it's an add-on. And so I'm not going to go through that one 100%. It's using the Derma Peel as your main kind of enzyme, and that's really quick around the eyes. You don't need much, and you can really do a good massage, circular motions, and do some different things to stimulate that eye tissue, and it'll be nice, and then you kind of finish off. But the one I really want to talk to you about more is the the lift and tighten, okay? So excited about you doing this, particularly with the situation that we're talking about. We all need that lift and tighten and hydration on our eyes. So this will be an amazing add-on for you as a new treatment, okay? So we're using the makeup remover.
Yep.
That's just in there. Then again, the Dermapeel, okay? So you're using that Dermapeel gently. You can mix in the Moisturize-Zyme if you want to and use both of those together, or you can use the Moisturize-Zyme. You can and or that in this situation. Then what you want to do is you want to take the Natural Lift Mask. That's that powder enzyme. It's got the albumin in there. It's going to be very tightening, lifting. If you haven't used that full face, it gives you that facelift for a few days.
Yep.
And it's really good. Well, we're going to use this around the eyes. And so you're going to put just like a quarter of a teaspoon with cucumber spritz. And then you're going to work that around this eye area. Okay. And you can come up on the eye bone. You do not want to go straight on the eyelid. So you want to go all the way there on the around the eye area. Okay, then you're going to leave that on, and then what we're going to do, let that get dry. It's got to get a little dry, and then you are going to start to melt in some of the Eye and Lip Renew serum right over top of that. So you'll let that sit on the skin for maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and then you're going to do this Eye and Lip Renew. You're going to stipple that in. And then what you want to do is you want to take some warm kind of eye pads. So whether you want to just get those, in the water, out of the warm water, or if you wanted to put those in your hot towel cabbie in the day, if you knew you were doing some extra treatments or something like that, you can put those in baggies too and just let them sit in there. But what you're going to do is you're going to put that on, and then you're going to just cup the eye area. I'm doing it this way, but you're just going to cup it. Let your hands are therapy, right? Your hands are, yeah, that's how you do it. But I'm trying to get eyes there. It's not working too well. I have to combine it. It's like, but your hands are therapy. Your hands are healing. And so what we're doing here is we're bringing a lot of relaxation, de-stressing, but we're also helping to melt all of that into the eye tissue and just alleviating a lot of kind of pressure that's held in this area and things we're talking about. So just hold that. It can be anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes. Let the warmth of those pads, your hands just kind of gently hold over that eye area. And then you could start to do a little bit of a massage if you wanted. And then after a certain amount of time, probably 10 minutes or so, you're going to remove all of that. After you remove it, you're going to, again, Milk Mask and Pumpkin E. You're going to mix those two together and just put those over the eyes and let that sit on the skin. I would put some cool eye pads now with the cucumber spritz.
Yep.
Spritz that cucumber eye pad, put that on the eyes, and then roll the mini ice globes over the skin and that eye area. And that's just going to feel so phenomenal. Remove that and then finish. How do you want to finish?
Yeah.
Anything.
Exactly. Any of the ones that we talked about before, I mean, that's going to be just great.
And the eyes are going to just be, we need that. We might even do it on ourselves today. But the eyes are just going to be brightened, tightened. You're going to see that lift. You're going to see just some beautiful hydration, and they're just going to love it. And that typically can still give you that effect for a couple days, even after the eye, just doing it on the eyes, kind of like you would do it on the face with that Natural Lift Mask. So they're going to see the benefits of that for a few days afterwards, and then, want to come in again and get it, another time. So they'll be adding that on, I would imagine, almost every time they do a facial. So that'll be a really, really good treatment for you.
Absolutely. And, and that's what it is. That's what it's all about. Like you said, like really just elevating, giving them something different and really taking that relaxation component and just feeling good. And then, of course, seeing a change.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, so that's what you can do in the treatment room. And now let's just talk about, we're going to talk a little bit about the different collections we have that they can, and kind of how they would use them. And then we'll go into a few other things that we would kind of bring in that aren't in the eye products. So yeah, talk about Unveil Your Beauty and
Yeah,
what that's all about.
You know, we have two really nice complete eye care collection kits. And the Unveil Your Beauty, I mean, this one's got your eye revitalizer, your peptide 3-in-1, your eye and lip renew, and your makeup remover. So, you know, they've got that product to use to remove that makeup. They've got the peptide 3-in-1 eye cream, which they can apply in the morning, the eye and lip renew at night, and put that eye revitalizer in their purse and use it all throughout the day.
Yes.
Or maybe, you know, if they're a little bit more sensitive, maybe they use the eye revitalizer on a daily basis and peptide 3-in-1 just maybe
a few
one or two times a week.
Yeah.
So that's another option for you
Yeah.
too. But you know, it's just a lovely little collection that that's just a great way to get your client started on really excellent eye care, home care, you know. And then the Revitalize Your Eyes, I mean, I love this one too, though it doesn't have eye and lip renew, but it still has though that eye revitalizer, eye lift, moisture enzyme, and makeup remover. So again, you know, maybe for someone that's looking for that weekly treatment, someone that maybe they don't, you know, like the texture or something like that for whatever reason of eye and lip, you've got another option for them. And you know, again, they can use that eye lift AM or PM, or both, or maybe they use eye revitalizer in the morning and throughout the day, and eye lift at night, and then the makeup remover too.
And I think too, this one's a little less expensive.
It is.
And so, you know, and these are great for you to get someone started on, or a good gift for someone, you know, especially as we're getting into this holiday season that's coming up. We're in September.
I know.
You know, I just love this fall season coming up, and then all the holidays, and it's a fun time of year. We'll see where we are with all the things we're dealing with. But and I've been telling everybody this, and I think I might have told you, but someone said, and it's just so funny. She said, you know, she wanted to toss candy in the yard and throw a turkey in the oven and wrap a present and unwrap it and call it a year. We're down. We're ready for 2021. And it's like, oh, yes, I know. I laughed and I kind of agreed. And then I'm like, but I love this time of year. It's my favorite time of year.
It is.
And so think about that, though, because, you know, we're, you know, we could be even in a more gift-giving spirit this year with all we've been through and how we want to help others and just what we've all experienced. And so this can be really great for you to just tie a little ribbon around it and a bow and get that as a holiday gift. But that would be the difference, I would say, too, is just the price a little bit.
Yeah.
So Revitalize Your Eyes is going to be less expensive. And then, like you said, I mean, that includes the weekly versus the other.
Yeah.
And then we have these duos.
We do. We've got 4 great duos. And, you know, this is a terrific way, too. Like, maybe somebody doesn't want to have multiple eye care products. They want something that's just kind of like an AM and PM regimen. Boom. That's what you have here. So we've got the Firm Eye Effect, which is going to have your AM peptide 3-in-1, and then the eye and lip renew at night. I mean, remember peptide 3-in-1, I mean, that's a really elevated AM product for puffiness and dark circles. It's going to really deliver some pretty dramatic results. The Youth Eye Effect, love this one.
Yeah.
And this would be great for you.
This would be mine.
But Eye Revitalizer, you know, and Eye and Lip Renew. And like you said, I mean, clients that are maybe in their, you know, mid-20s and up that are, you know, maybe they're prone to family, you know, lineage of dark circles or fine lines and wrinkles. And so this is great to get them on this duo now and have them start
This is
preserving.
a preventative, for sure. And, you know, I've been...
sensitive.
or right, exactly, sensitive or then preventative, and then some people may, you know, continue to use that or then eventually bring in one of the other, like peptide 3-in-1 or I love. But that's a good way to look at that and get your younger ones started. If they start early, it's going to make such a difference.
It really does. And then the RX Eye Effect, like that is going to be, you know, that eye revitalizer, again, great to use all day long, but then it's got that weekly, you know, eye care treatment. So again, you know, maybe you got someone that they don't want to have multiple products. They want something that's just real simple, boom, and then they're okay with doing a weekly, then that can be a great duo for them. And then the Lift Eye Effect, you know, that would be mine. I'm like, eye lift and eye and lip renew, I am sold on that. You know, that's just phenomenal and just another really great pair that's going to do a lot for the skin.
Yeah, so lots of choices to really sell and partner things together in the collections, and they're in the beautiful clear box with all of the instructions on, or the stuff on the back, and so think about ways to bring that in and get people introduced into more than one product, because that's going to make such a difference when you can bring that AM PM together.
For sure.
And then lastly, some additional things. I'm always using something. Even I've mentioned Infuse 7. There's always something that we're bringing up. We didn't put on here, but I did mention that about the cucumber spritz and the hyaluronic serum. I mean, there's other elements that you can bring into the eye regimens and some of those products. And so arnica therapy is one.
Yes.
And that one is really, really great. Now, I wouldn't use it every single day. We don't want to do that, but we can use it several times a week. And it's going to depend on the skin. It's great to partner with, like Peptide 3-in-1, Eye Lift, or even Eye Revitalize, or really any of them, and put that on the skin either at night and then the eye and lip over it, or during the day and put the others over it. And the arnica is going to help with the dark circles. It also gives you some hydration too.
Yeah.
So it's going to give you a little bit of that as well. But those dark circles is what we're really looking for, and some of that puffiness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And and that is, I think that if you're on the Facebook forum, you've seen that come up quite frequently, and a lot of people really like adding that.
Yeah, so a good addition. And then Ageless can really just brighten up the eyes again, kind of those dark circle areas, and just give you a little bit of extra support. So if you have them on Ageless, just bring that up around this area, and it's really going to be a great, great support. And then again, you can put your eye product over top, or you sometimes can just use that, depending on what you're trying to do. Then we've got kind of that, how can we help more with some of that firmness, the wrinkles and all of those things. Both of our Synergy A and Chronopeptide A can be done around the eyes. So yeah, and that's really good. And I add that in around my eyes probably once a week with Synergy A. And I can definitely tell a difference. If I use it too often, my eyes don't respond well. So for me, it's gotten to a once a week situation. Some people can use it more, some maybe less depending on their skin. But either one of those are phenomenal to really go over. And then what I do is I put the Synergy A on, and then the eye and lip over top.
Yep, exactly.
Infuse 7.
Yeah, and that's just lovely. And then of course, Peptide 38.
Yeah, Peptide 38.
If they're on that ultimate peptide product of ours, oh my goodness, that is just wonderful for them to take like around the crow's feet area.
Yeah.
That really helps give us a good boost of collagen, and it takes away the crepiness too. So that can be nice.
Yeah, so very good. And then lastly, Infuse 7 and Drop of Essence, which we've talked about. Just, you want to use those over top of Eye and Lip Renew or at PM. That's just going to really lock in that hydration, give them more benefits overall, and just be a great support. So those are just a few that we picked out here to talk to you about. And yeah. We did it.
Hey.
We did it. Hopefully this helped you with understanding our eye products a little bit more, giving you some ideas on how to support your clients. And I'm excited for you with the treatments to really get started on those and add those in, because they're really going to help support your business and, of course, your clients and what they're going through.
And and I was going to say one more thing. When you guys start doing those treatments, be sure to be taking before and after pictures.
Yes.
Sharing those on social media. Of course, tag us in your beautiful work, because we always love to see that too.
Oh yeah.
But do that though. Get people excited. Let them see that you're carrying the eyes line. Get them thinking about those things, and it'll really help you out.
And the beautiful brochure that you have with the eyes line, as well as the counter card to really market that well. But thank you for your time.
Yeah,
this has been fun. And if you have any additional questions, always reach out to us, educators@rhondaallison.com. We're here for you. And thank you again for your support.